everyone, this is Alexa Donne, and I just wanted to film a very quick update on my drafting progress for my second book for Camp NaNoWriMo. It's been a little over a week since I filmed my last video, and I've been struggling a little bit, and I thought it was worth, recording and sharing a bit of what I've been going through and some of the things that I have been doing to both push through, but also some of the things I've been doing to go a bit easy on myself. Drafting is really hard, and especially in the beginning of a new project for a pantser, it's either going to go swimmingly well. I have breezed through 20,000 words of, the beginning of a book before really easily, or it can kind of be like pulling teeth as you are figuring out what the heck you're doing, and this is a pulling teeth draft for me at this point. I am still going. I have been writing almost every day in the month of July, but I've given myself a couple of days off in the last 10 days especially to kind of push through some of my feelings. What are those feelings, you ask? Well, frustration has been a really big one. I've had a couple nights where, I pushed myself to 500 words and almost every single word was a struggle, or at least half of the words were a serious struggle, where I sat in front of Scrivener and I just stared at it and I kept repeating to myself, you have to write, no giving up, just write something, it's only 500 words, just figure something out. And that's because I didn't want to lose momentum, and also honestly because I wanted stars in my planner. If you watched my first video for the month, you know that I am using the V.E. Schwab gold star method, where I give myself gold stars for every 500 words I write, and I honestly just like the way that the stars look in my planner, which is kind of the point of the motivation system, that you want to earn your stars. So that's why 500 has been kind of my push through at bare minimum, but I've had a couple days where I haven't even been able to manage that, and I also have taken off some days. So I'll show you kind of what my planner is looking like now. So here it is. The last time I did this, I only had like the first week, and you can see I'm into week 3 now. And I had like my big day, which was 2,000 something words, which I talked about in the last video. And then I had a really nice 1,500 word Sunday last week, more than a week ago. But it's just kind of 1 star per day and a few with none. I'll give you kind of my word count since the last time I filmed a video. I skipped a day. That's because I went to downtown LA to SCBWI, which was a conference in town, and I just had a really lovely night with friends. And sometimes you just need to give yourself that time off to socialize and do things that you enjoy. And in my case, it was hanging out with some cool authors. So that kind of counts as work, right? The next day I wrote 1481. I rounded up to 1,500 and gave myself 3 stars and a little bunny holding something exciting. Just because, patting myself on the shoulder, patting myself on the back. The next day I wrote 838 words. The next day 502. I just barely smidged over 500 there. The next day I skipped another day. This was Wednesday, July 12th. I went to the Because You Love to Hate Me anthology launch at the Grove, and I was out until after midnight. And again, it was amazing. I got to see some friends. I love Amory, who is the editor and a writer in that anthology, and I met some new friends, and it was just nice to see people and talk about books. So, I was nice to myself that night as well. Take a night off. Don't stay up super late trying to squeeze words out of you. The next day I wrote 557 words, the next day 537. Both of those days were those like really tough days where I was sitting there, yelling at myself, so to speak, internally, like, just do it, like, get to 500, and I did it for the stars. The next day, I wrote 159 words, and those were hard won. I did not want to write any of them, so I'll take it. And then the next day, Sunday, the 16th, I wrote 508 words, another day where I just, like, barely scooched over 500, but I gave myself another bunny sticker just because I like them and they make me feel good. And then yesterday was Monday, July 17th, and I skipped another day. I didn't even have a great reason for it. I just had a long day at work, and then in the evening I watched a movie. I watched Lion last night, which I really, really enjoyed, though the hard-coded subtitles are wrong on Netflix, so the subtitles for the first half of the movie showed up during the second half, which was kind of amusing in its own way, but I totally cried watching Lion. And I got some other projects done, things that needed to be done that definitely count as work but weren't writing, and I gave myself that permission to, take care of other things yesterday. So today is Tuesday, July 18th. I haven't tried to do my words for the day, and I'm gonna hope for the best. Another reason that I wrote very little on Saturday, I just scooched over 500 on Sunday, and then I took a break yesterday, is I'm not really sure what I'm doing in the chapter that I'm writing currently. And this happens a lot. It's a chapter, I have about 1,700 words of it, and that is basically like my last week of writing, is just this one chapter, this one scene. And as I was writing it, I didn't know where it was going. I didn't know what anyone was going to say or do, what was going to happen to them, what was going to upset them. And I kind of had a breakthrough for that on Sunday, so I wrote a bit more. But I've been letting it marinate. Yesterday was kind of a marination day. Today, during the day, was a marination day, like kind of thinking about my characters and how they're feeling and their emotions, because the next scene that I write, that I figured out that I was going to write, is going to be a really important one. It's going to hit about the 10K mark in the book. From a plot beat perspective, it's essentially where I'm going to break into two, maybe a little bit before that, but my character needs to have an emotional experience and make a decision, and it's going to lead into my fun and games, which I'm really looking forward to writing, because this is the part where I get to really torture my character in terms of romantic angst. And I just needed to think about it for a couple of days, and especially the things that my love interest is going to say to my main character, like, they're really important. They're going to shape the rest of the novel, so I needed to give it a bit of time. So at this point I'm kind of rambling, but I just wanted to kind of share the process and how it's going and let you know that, you can have tough weeks or tough 10 days, and this might keep going because I've got Comic-Con this weekend, and I already knew I probably wasn't going to write anything the weekend of Comic-Con. So I'm kind of heading up to a break, but I want to finish this pivotal scene before I do that. And I had a lot of moments of doubt in the last 10 days, to be honest. I pulled in one of my critique partners and I said, like, I know I'm being ridiculous, but will you please read my first 9,000 words, and don't tell me if you hate it, because I can't take it at this stage, but like, give me a sense of how the emotions are feeling on the page. Is my main character too neurotic? Because especially as I'm drafting as a pantser and I'm learning the story, I'm figuring out the world, and I'm also like figuring out who my characters are, and so I started to feel like I was being really repetitive. Like, I felt like my main character was having the same thoughts over and over and over again, and maybe she is. And I keep reminding myself logically that I know I can fix it in revisions, that it doesn't have to be perfect in the draft. But in the moment when I'm staring at Scrivener and I'm there, I get big moments of self-doubt where I think I'm terrible and I'm a hack writer, and why did I pick this book? This book is a terrible idea. Is there even enough for a whole book? And there is, but there's just those moments of, I don't know what I'm doing. This is terrible. Why am I doing this? How can I do this? How did I ever write a book before? Every time you start a book, it's like, how did you ever write a book before? Like, I sometimes don't believe that I did, that maybe, it was a fever dream and someone else did it for me. But yeah, so that's where I am, and, in a future video when I'm feeling a bit more level-headed and I have a bit more time to think about it, I'll share some of the actual techniques that I've used to push through these scenes when I've been writing them, because they have been hard, and I've been stuck at 350 words and I need that last 150, and I do have some cheat techniques that I use to push through scenes, kind of on a scene by scene, word by word, night by night basis, that I'll share that do, get me from point A to point B. But this is a feelings video, so those are my feelings. I'm still okay. I have hit 9,000 words. I'm really close to 10,000 words. I don't think I'm going to hit my NaNoWriMo goal for the month, my Camp NaNoWriMo goal of 20,000 words, but I'm honestly totally okay with that. It was kind of an arbitrary number that I set for myself. The real goal for the month was and is, and I will achieve, getting a nice, healthy start on this book and starting to figure out what the heck it is so that I can share it with my agent and my editor so that they can see what the heck it is. So I'm still on track in that sense, even if the words are hard. And it's about 7 o'clock right now, and I'm just thinking, oh gosh, in like 2 hours it's gonna start again. I'm gonna sit in front of Scrivener, and I'm gonna force myself to write, and I'm gonna force myself to get to 500 words because I want my star. So wish me luck. And good luck to all of you. This is the hard part. You know, we're in the middle of the month. We're in the middle of Camp NaNoWriMo, you know, where dreams fall apart and hopes are squashed and all that jazz. But also where it's the most important to be kind to yourself. As I said, I gave myself breaks. I am patting myself on the back, and I have my stickers. So good luck and happy writing, everyone.